My unit, salute! A double dose of amplification on this Thursday, the 8th of May of the year 2025. Where just a few hours ago, my amplified unit was hit with the AEW Dynamite review, fully amplified. Where MJF tells Will Ospreay, "You're the reason shampoo bottles come with directions." And Will Ospreay looks at Hangman Page and says, "This isn't about you finding your smile. It's not about your retribution. It's about my ascension." What a line. Samoa Joe taps out Claudio. And Samoa Joe and Mox are about to be locked in a cage. We talk all about it. Just a few hours ago, the AEW Dynamite review is live on the channel. Late last night, you guys were hit with the NXT review. Jordynne Grace defeats Julia Jordan, headed to Battleground to take on Stephanie. It happened. And AEW's Will Ospreay talking about how there's nobody in WWE that can hang with the roster of All Elite Wrestling. We had a huge discussion about that. Late last night, that upload went live on the channel. So the NXT review with a lot of good side conversation. The AEW review is now live on the channel. And here we are. We ain't done. We just keep rolling. 44 die. We rolling. And this amped up. Man, are we going to talk about it. We are going to talk Coachman and his take on Bayley. And it's already creating a little bit of storm in the wrestling world. Now, I know what you're thinking. BC, it's Coachman. He's out for some clicks, maybe some views, right? Let's not make this a bigger thing than it is. And normally, you'd probably be right. It's still something that would have to be talked about. Coachman was there for what? More than a decade in totality. So it still would have been a story, but maybe just a side story. What makes this a big story is that as scathing as this critique is of Bayley from Jonathan Coachman, the sad part is, if you actually digest all of these words, and again, it is scathing, it is harsh to a degree, but how much is actually bullshit? Like, if you really think about what he is saying, how far off is he? Because we all love Bayley, right? And we don't really think of Bayley in this way. BC never really gave it a second thought until Coachman actually said this. And upon some research, you have to at least ask the question, how off is Jonathan Coachman? If you put your fandom for Bayley aside, how far off is Coachman? That's what makes this a bigger story. Is everybody will absolutely be out to slam Coachman for saying this. But how wrong is he? I'll give you guys an exact quote, and then we're going to talk about it. Deal? And then you guys come up with your own... thought process behind that. How do you get to the decision that you... I mean, if you're doing a round of cuts and Bayley is in your bottom three, and there's two other female superstars, what makes Bayley stay and the other one or two have to get Das Boot? And how do you come up with that decision, right? It's your prerogative. We're just going to lay out the facts, the conversation, come to your own conclusion. But it's a discussion that I feel has to be had, and especially now, Coachman just opened up Pandora's box, so now everybody's going to be talking about it over the next 48 hours. Probably straight through backlash. I mean, it's a scathing take on Bayley. That's all I'll give you for now. We'll talk about it. But I want to start off in a different direction. This is kind of in direct correlation to the big Backlash event this Saturday from World Wrestling Entertainment, and a superstar that could be showing up, and his name is I'm sorry, got my names mixed up. Goldberg showing up this Saturday at Backlash. It's a real possibility, and wait till you hear why. You know I gotta get some swigs of coffee before I start talking Goldberg's ass at 58 years old. But here's why. Hunter Hearst Helmsley's master plan, right? The creative genius, we're told, of Hunter Helmsley. And by the way, thank you, Hunter Helmsley, for bringing back 58-year-old Goldberg, because that's exactly what every pro wrestling fan wanted. That's when you took over from Vince McMahon, that's exactly what we were thinking. We were thinking, hey, bring back Goldberg again. You know, it's going to be funny in the community, right? When Vince McMahon brought back Goldberg every single time, all 13 times, slight exaggeration, but only slight. We absolutely ripped Vincent Kennedy and WWE to shreds. Why? Before we even found out what he was doing. He could be putting somebody over. He could be dropping a match to Brock Lesnar, or he could be winning the championship from Bray Wyatt, which should have never happened. But it didn't matter. The second we even found out, the community flipped out. It's going to be interesting when this word breaks out, or if he does show up at Backlash. Is the community going to keep that same energy? Or because it's Hunter Helmsley, are they going to turn a blind eye yet again? We already know the answer. They're turning the blind eye. The narrative will be, he's just going to have maybe a quick squash. He'll put Gunther over because of the way Gunther's been booked. No harm, no foul. This will only help the star power of Gunther. Right? That's what we're going to hear. Oh, it's going to be okay. It's all good. Everybody, don't worry, everybody. Hunter knows what he's doing. But when it was Vince, it didn't matter, man. You heard Goldberg's coming back, and everyone's like, come on, man. For what? You can't just make stars out of the roster that you have now, the young up-and-comers or the people that are already midway through their career and waiting for their chance. You got to bring up back 58-year-old Goldberg. I always said the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Of course, Helmsley's bringing back Goldberg. I told you that was going to happen. And yes, I already kind of spoiled it. If you're asking in what situation, we are hearing that it is for Gunther. And at Backlash, don't be shocked if somehow Goldberg was to help out Pat McAfee. And if it doesn't happen at Backlash, we still believe that the next big feud for Gunther will be Goldberg. So the big plan from Paul Levesque McMahon is to totally botch Gunther's booking for an entire year, even with a championship. Shake all the baby faces' hands, Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton after the PLE, shake their hands. Have a horrendous, mind-bogglingly bad feud and story with Jason Uso leading up to Mania, which is what they had. And when you get to Mania, tap out in 8 seconds via your own move. Jason Uso locked your own move on you, and you tapped out in 8 seconds. In the master plan to go, see, no harm, no foul, everybody. Hunter knew what he was doing. Look at how he's booking Gunther now. Pick on the commentator team. Lock Michael Cole in your in your chokehold. Then Pat McAfee. And then have a match with McAfee. And then have a match with 58-year-old Goldberg. That's the master plan to make everybody go, see? Gunther tapping out in 8 seconds to his own move and losing his title to Jason Uso, the tag team guy. No harm, no foul. See that? Hunter knew what he was doing. Michael Cole, Pat McAfee, and 58-year-old Goldberg. Gunther is the diabolical beast everybody thought he was. It's going to take a lot more than that. You know, the sad part of all this is I would actually be okay with this. I've said this in the past, too, when he used to come back. I was flipping out as well because I just didn't understand how you don't use the talent you have. And especially should not be coming back to face Bray Wyatt. And if you do, he better not be taking Bray's title. And, of course, all of that happened. But there was also this side where it's like there's just this failure to create larger-than-life stars. There's a failure to create anybody that seems to be different or break out from the pack and feel special, feel like a top-level main eventer. And today's pro wrestling, today's WWE especially, it's the exact same thing as I've been saying years ago. I look at this roster in WWE, nobody feels like a main eventer. Seth Rollins does not. Kevin Owens doesn't. Samuel Zayn doesn't. The world champion Jason Uso certainly doesn't. A Sheamus doesn't. Nobody does. CM Punk on a good Monday, maybe. Roman Reigns does. Jonathan Cena still, yeah, he's in a weird territory. I don't know, man. I feel like we're starting to botch John Cena big time. WrestleMania didn't do him any favors. Randy Orton, yeah, but the more he plays around with people that just feel so mid, he starts to devalue. But Rusev, Penta, Aleister Black, all good talents. All will possibly have main events on pay-per-views. That's great for them. They don't feel like a Hulk Hogan or a Warrior or Savage or a Ric Flair or an Undertaker or Steve Austin or a Rock. They don't feel that way, and that's what we have to do. So what I'm getting at is, on one hand, I kind of wouldn't mind just to hear Goldberg's theme blast off through the stadium or the arena and just watch him knock himself out, right? Slam his dome piece into the door, knock himself out, stagger into walls as he's trying to get to the ring. Hopefully nobody gets injured. Hopefully they don't actually let him wrestle. But it would be entertaining, at least the theme music hitting and watching him stumble around knocked out. I mean, that's what he does. It's what happened with the Undertaker match in Saudi, man. Undertaker was fuming, pissed. Almost dropped Undertaker on his head a couple, 2-3 times. But on one hand, it's like, dude, you got to bring back 58-year-old Goldberg because Hunter Hearst Helmsley is botching everybody else. So on one hand, I want to tell you I wouldn't even mind this. Just play the damn theme music and let's see how hard he hits his head on the door. But the reason I can't be down with this is because I still have fresh in my dome piece the 8-second tap out to his own move to tag team Jason Uso to drop his title. That's the fight that was in Gunther. All those brawls we saw with Sheamus and Drew McIntyre and Dragunov. That fight, that hunger, this dude is a wolf and beyond. And Jey Uso's just like tap, and Gunther's like, all right, as if there's a popsicle on the line, as if there's a clearly Canadian drink on the line, or well, I can't say Dunkin'. If there's a Dunkin' on the line, yeah, we snapping necks. If there's a Dunkin' on the line, BC collecting W's, bro. But I mean, this dude, you would think there was a bag of M&Ms or Skittles on the line, and Gunther's like, all right, I just kind of want to get home, tap. Dude, this is a world championship. Dude's tapping out in 8 seconds. No fight, no hunger, no heart. And you think Pat McAfee and Goldberg, victories over those two are going to help Gunther get back to the promised land? That's supposed to make fans like BC. Oh, I'm sorry. Hunter said we're not fans anymore if we critique. Critics like BC go, oh, it's all good now, man. He beat Pat McAfee and Goldberg. The Jey Uso thing is in the rear view now. Pretty cool. We got Gunther back. Gunther is an animal again. He's a beast. He's a machine. I can't. That's why you got to be careful how you book. Every single time you parade these talents out there, man, be careful, because it'll come back to bite you in the ass if you're botching their booking. And when you botch them all the time, good luck trying to dig out of the hole that you have dug so damn deep for yourself. That's the first story I got for you guys, man. We're hearing that Goldberg is on the horizon. We're hearing that it is for Gunther. There is time between this report and even Backlash, couple of days. There could be changes, but we're hearing it could be as soon as Backlash, and if not, right after. And if that's what Hunter believes is going to get him out of the doghouse of how he botched his booking at WrestleMania, good luck with that. Because BC's going to tell you it's going to take a lot more. We're going to down some coffee, and then we're going to get the Coachman. Wow. Very rarely do you hear somebody who's been in those walls of WWE, still rub shoulders with them from time to time, at any point could go back into those walls, give a critique like this. It is it comes across as harsh. But is there amplified truth to any or all of this? This is what makes this a quick side story that a former talent like Coachman is saying, right? We could run by this in 2 minutes. But what made this a bigger story is that everything Coachman is saying, you have to stop and think, as much as we love Bayley, is there truth to this? Let's talk about it. So Coachman, I'm going to jump right into this, man. This is what Coachman said. Coachman says, and I quote about Bayley, "You can't be serious." This is when Bayley was brought up in the conversation. I think this was on like a Coachman podcast, by the way. Don't have exactly what it's called, but I think this was on his show. Something Turnbuckle, I believe, was the source, but you guys can check it out for yourself. But this is what he says, and I quote about Bayley. "You can't be serious. Bayley is done. She's washed up. She's boring. She's nothing. She's nothing anymore. What does she bring to the table? If you dropped Bayley off the roster today, what would you lose? When I was in the WWE for 13 years, there would be certain people, and she'd be one of them, that would walk around backstage and you'd be thinking, how in the world is she winning the Royal Rumble? Or how in the world is he doing that? To me, I think she's a very sweet person, but there's a lot of sweet people. I just don't think she's ever sold a ticket, like ever sold a ticket for any rivalry that she's ever done." End quote. I tried to give you guys a disclaimer that this was scathing. This was a scathing critique. I don't think Coachman meant any malice behind it. This is how he truly feels. It's his podcast. He's talking about somebody who he used to work with, a co-worker, if you will, fellow former talent. And he talks about brushing shoulders with not just people like Bayley, but with Bayley during his time in WWE. This isn't just some fans critique or critics critique or somebody who's in the wrestling business but never rubbed shoulders with Bayley. Coachman is giving you an example. In his time, in his 13 years in WWE, you'd walk around backstage and there's some people that are getting certain spots and big victories, and he's telling you, they'd be like, damn, how does that even happen? Like, that's just, no. There's no amount of t-shirts they can sell to put them in that spot. That's not for them, clearly, because they're just not built for it. That's Coachman's take on it. But when he says, take it to the top, when he says, Bayley is done, she's washed up, she's boring, she's nothing anymore. What does she bring to the table? If you dropped Bayley off the roster today, what would you lose? Scathing, no question. A harsh critique, no doubt. How much is not correct? Now, let's decipher it. Is she washed up and is she nothing anymore? I do not agree with that at all. You could see a 58-year-old Goldberg show up, and this isn't saying much. I can't name you 5 epic Goldberg matches, but maybe he has the match of a lifetime. You never know. You get in good condition, the right headspace, you have a magical night, man. Lightning in a bottle, you never know. But Bayley can still rock out. Psychology. When the wheels start to fall off, you use your psychology. You just work smarter, not harder. I always use my New York Yankees Mike Mussina example. Mike Mussina was a very good pitcher for the Yankees. The one thing he never did in his career is win a 20-game win season. That's a big thing for a pitcher, when you win 20 games in one regular season. And he never was able to do that. No matter how fast he threw that fastball, he just couldn't get 20 wins. He got 18 and 19 a couple of times. His last year, when his fastball was off about 5 to 10 miles an hour, so there's no way he's getting 20 wins, you would think. But his last year, he said, all right, I'm gonna go even slower, but I'm going to use precision more. I'm going to pinpoint it a lot better. I'm going to use accuracy over the speed. Work smarter, not harder. So Mike Mussina went through the whole season doing that. A lot of these fastballs were so damn slow that your grandma could probably hit that shit. I know my nanny would definitely. But he actually won 20 games that season. His last season playing professional ball, and he won 20 games. His fastball was not fast at all, and he scaled everything back. But he just said, what if I just learned to just pinpoint it more? Maybe they can't hit it. They couldn't. 20 games won. You can apply that to anything you do, anything you set out to do. Smarter, not harder, man, because this is one of those situations, especially in pro wrestling. Just because you can't do the flips and the dives, you can't work at a cheetah's speed. Cool. You can actually put on better wrestling matches if you just tone it down, slow it down, use more psychology, sell more, garner a real reaction instead of this ADD reaction where everybody just yells, "This is awesome," the second there's a moment of stoppage in the action. You're 2 or 3 minutes into a match. They've just done a bunch of spots, and now they're both laying down. They're both knocked out. And the audience can't stand that silence. So the audience will always start to chant something. Usually it's "This is awesome." It could be 1-2 minutes into the match. They don't care. They feel like they should be participating because the wrestlers aren't doing anything anymore. They're selling. But if you truly captivate their attention, their imagination, you get the real response you're looking for, man. I say that about Will Ospreay in the last couple of uploads. Everybody knows Will Ospreay to be this glorified gymnast is what you hear. A spot fest monkey is what you hear. A flipper and a diver. What BC likes about Will Ospreay is when he tones it down, slows it down. He can actually use psychology with the best of them. That's the best Will Ospreay. Not what everybody else tends to like about him. BC sees a lot more in Will Ospreay. I've been using him as an example. So my point is, guys, is that Bayley, you can say she's because I'm sure Coachman isn't the only one to think this. I doubt that very much. Coachman is probably echoing that sentiment from a lot of people. I don't see washed up and done and that she's nothing anymore. Absolutely not. I think she's got a few good years still left in her in that ring. You know what I'm going to say. It all comes down to booking and creative. They have to meet her halfway, man. If creative and booking can come up with something big for her, there's still a lot more for Bayley in the tank. The wheels are falling off. There's no question. She's got 2 bad legs, guys. 2 bad, was it knees? I think it's 2 bad knees. Either way, 2 bad wheels. There's definitely, man. We saw it with Tegan Knox. Shayna Baszler started to have it. Dakota Kai got injury prone. Once one wheel goes, the other wheel. I'll use another Yankee example. Hideki Matsui never missed a game. Our fielder man, the Thriller from Godzilla. This guy would hit a home run 8,000 feet. Slight exaggeration. But he never missed a day. He was always out there in left field. And one day his wheel blew out. And it's like, whoa, Matsui's missing games. You never thought that was possible. He was a machine. And it's called overcompensation. Once one wheel goes down, you don't even think about it. You start using your other wheel a lot more, and then when you get that wheel back, it's not too long after that your other wheel blows out. The sock effect, right? You ever get one freaking hole in a sock, and like within 24 hours, the other one's got... How did that happen? That's what happens with a lot of these wrestlers and athletes. When one wheel goes out, the other is not too far behind. Yes, unfortunately, Bayley's best years might indeed be behind her. Coachman is right in that, but I wouldn't just say she's washed up yet. Creative and booking, if Hunter will just pull his head out of his ass and look at what he has and what he needs to do to make Bayley relevant again. Now go a little bit further down, right? She's nothing anymore. What does she bring to the table? Right now, Coachman is correct. Nothing. That's sad to say. We all love Bayley. I know. I just spent 5-10 minutes defending Bayley in what Coachman just said. Nothing and washed up. No, I don't believe that. But as of right now, what does she bring to the table? Coachman is right. Nothing. And that's why I said Hunter has to pull his head out of his ass, because Hunter can change that. Because right now she's bringing nothing to the table. You know that. I know that. We all know that. Because his next line is correct. If you dropped Bayley off the roster today, what would we lose? Sadly, nothing but a girl named Bayley. And that is sad. Because Bayley is still good, I feel. And she's given so much. And she has so much more to offer. But if she was in catering for the next month or two, and then told to sit home for a month or two, it would take many, many weeks for fans to actually start going, where's Bayley at? It's not going to be fresh off your dome piece on a SmackDown or a Raw or a PLE. Where's Bayley at? You're probably not even going to think Bayley at first jump. And it's interesting because when he ends this whole savage critique. Coachman says, I just don't think she's ever sold a ticket for any rivalry that she's ever done. Now, aside from the Sasha Banks NXT, because they did main event that, NXT, and then there was another NXT. These were both NYC, I believe. They had a 30-minute Iron Woman match, too, on one of them. But they main evented those, or at least one. But that was with Sasha Banks, but that was in NXT. I believe, and if I am wrong, absolutely go ahead and correct it, but I believe Bayley has never actually main evented a WWE PLE pay-per-view. She's been there for years. What, guys? Decade at least, I would say. Probably more than a decade. I believe. I didn't do full research, and usually I do like to, and that's why I say I'll put an asterisk next to that. You guys can check it out yourself. But I believe she has never main evented a PLE pay-per-view. That tells you a lot. That usually tells you that the company isn't looking at her as somebody who can move and generate ticket sales. So before you slam Coachman on that, that's why I say hold on. Maybe you can slam the way he said it. That's your prerogative. But does Bayley push tickets as much as we may love Bayley? It's good old Bayley. Coachman says it himself. She's a sweetheart, but many people are sweethearts. We would walk around backstage going, how is she getting that W? How is she in that spot? Not just Bayley, just people in general, right? If he was behind the scenes with Jey Uso winning the Rumble, that's probably how a lot of the talent reacted. A lot of them congratulated Uso. There's probably a lot that was like, what the? LA Knight was like, huh? I got nothing. I was told to sit in catering, then go home, left off Madison Square Garden. I couldn't even get the mid-card title until a full year when Hunter realized I wasn't a flash in the pan. Jason Uso's picking up Rumble victories and World Championship in 8-second tap-outs. LA Knight would like a word, right? With Helmsley. Bayley, I don't believe, has ever main evented a PLE. That's the house. You know, that goes to the main event. Whoever is ending the show, they get tasked with selling those tickets. And if the house isn't sold out, they hear about it. And if it is, they're honored big time. It makes you think, if Bayley was in a round of releases, there'd be frustration. We don't call it outrage, right? It would be frustration because the frustration stems from how they were used to begin with, that they're even in the position that they're in. That's where frustration comes from fans. It's repetitiveness, and it's unnecessary to a lot of fans, these releases. So when people are like, oh, it's fake outrage, you know, everyone's acting like it's the end of the world. Well, no, it's just frustration. It's like you talk about record revenue and how many records you broke at Mania and how much money the company made. And then you turn around and you tell a bunch of people that they no longer will be employed. Well, then what's the deal, man? Which is it? How about you do it more gracefully and you don't start touting that you're making so much money? Ha ha, you no longer have a job. Bye. Like, be more graceful about it. Read the room. Think about what you're doing, man. No company that you work for, you would like that. Could you imagine the company that you work for? I don't care if it's a Dunkin' Donuts or if you work for Amazon or a Fortune 500 company. You walk into work, your boss is having a meeting talking about how much money the company's making. There's champagne, everybody's flipping out, everyone's celebrating, and he comes over to you and he says, Jerrison, you're fired. And then he goes back to the party, the record revenue party. I mean, that's what you're doing, bro. They do these right after Mania when Hunter Helmsley is like, we made so much money. We're shattering glass ceilings, TKO. We're making millions of dollars a day, basically. We are on top of the world. We're basically playing the role of God. And we're going to go and fire people right now. It's so awesome. It's basically what you're doing, man. You're giving a hoorah speech to everybody. Hey, the company just had a kick-ass Mania. Thank you, everybody. Record revenue. We're shattering every goal and every metric. And by the way, can I talk to a dozen of you right now? Yeah, come on into the office. No, they don't even do that. They have some schmuck tell them third party. Hunter won't even tell them. Hunter won't even talk to them. Some schmuck will tell them they no longer have a job. But if Bayley's in the next round of cuts, after the frustration is issued from fans, justified, What is the company truly losing other than a sweetheart behind the scenes that all the talents love and the fans love? It's Bayley, right? Oh, it's good old dependable Bayley. But that's not why we fell in love with pro wrestling. We didn't go, oh, it's good old dependable Tito Santana. Good old dependable Batista. Good old dependable Eddie Guerrero. No, there was something special with Batista, I would hope, that we'd want to see Batista. There was something special in Eddie Guerrero, I would hope. Something special that I don't care if he's in the mid-card. We want to see Tito Santana. There's got to be something more than they're just a good person behind the scenes. That's great for their family, their friends, and if you go get an autograph. But shit, we're trying to get larger-than-life superstars with captivating storylines, feuds that need to be culminated at a PLE, and we'll whip the wallet out and say how much. Is there a reason that Bayley has never main evented a pay-per-view? And if so, again, aside from NXT with Sasha, is there a reason? Is that because the company doesn't see that in her? Vince didn't? Hunter doesn't? And now with two bad wheels, kind of like Shayna Baszler, Dakota Kai, Tegan Nox, you see what Hunter does. He's like, all right, you're broken. I'm just going to let you go. Right? That's what Hunter... You saw it with Tegan Nox, man. Tegan Nox had two bad wheels. One really bad wheel. I think she got the ACL tears in the same leg, right? And then overcompensated the other. Shayna's one wheel was going out. Dakota Kai was starting to become injury prone. I'm not saying Bayley would be in the next round. I think because Bayley is such a heartbeat of that behind the scenes, the backstage, Bayley might have a job for life. I mean, she might be built into the fabric of today's WWE. Good for her. But again, eventually, when does the fans have to say, well, how was that good for us? She's taking up a roster spot. Like, we love Bayley, but could somebody else be there? Just saying, man. It does open up the conversation. I know everybody's just going to slam Coachman for this, and some of it may be justified. But how much is there truth to this, man? How much does Helmsley have to stop and go, all right, maybe I am really botching Bayley? And Bayley's not helping her own cause. I know recently she took like some pins and we found out that it was her decision. Like she went to Hunter and said, hey, can I do the job for this? I think one of them was like Candice LeRae a few months ago. And I told you in the review, I said, that's not going to do anything for Candice. And it's just going to hurt Bayley more. So I don't know who Bayley thought she was helping. Without good creative attached to it and good booking, long term, it's going to lead to nothing but an L for Bayley, and Candice will be right back at catering. And I was right. Candice was right back at catering. Bayley got even more thrown into the ditch that Triple H was digging. Nobody wins from this because Hunter is not thinking long-term. He has no plan. He's just like, yeah, go out there and beat Bayley, Candice. And then she went to NXT, and I think she took an L too. Somebody. That wasn't Roxy, was it? But I mean, the string of losses does not help Bayley at all. She's not in a position she never made it to that status where she can now just come back like John Cena did and take L's to Austin Theory or Solo Sikoa and everybody else for 3 years. No, Bayley recently just admitted in an interview, this was just within the last month, that she still feels like she has not hit anywhere near where she should have been by now. She says she feels like the least successful horsewoman when she looks at Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, Charlotte Flair, and Becky Lynch. And when you look at these statistics, the numbers, the metrics, the pay-per-view main events, yeah, she's nowhere near any of them. So Bayley herself said that, and Bayley would be correct. It's a wild conversation. You don't really think about it. That's why yeah, man, I kind of dug this con, but when I found out what Coachman said, I said, this isn't going to be a side story. We got to make this a main story because this is a good discussion. Everybody just thinks Bayley and we move on because it's good old Bayley. But it's time we ask the question, what the fuck are they doing with Bayley? Does Bayley know what they're doing with Bayley? Does Hunter know? Of course, Hunter doesn't. Something's got to change, or else guess what? Coachman is just the tip of the iceberg. There's going to be more and more people that are going, what the fuck is Bayley doing on the roster then if this is what they're doing with her? Food for thought, interesting discussions. That's what we have here, man, on the Amplified channel. Big thanks to all you guys, man, from channel members straight down to subscribers, everybody in between. Much love and respect. This is going to be a big weekend. We got Backlash coming up. I'll have a amped up for you guys before SmackDown tomorrow. We'll do SmackDown's review. Channel members might get that late tomorrow night. It'll be available for everybody early Saturday, I believe. And then maybe we can go live before Backlash for a little bit. Maybe even do a first match watch along. It'll be kind of cool. And then we'll do, obviously, the good, the bad, and the ugly of Backlash, the review, within 24 hours after the event itself. So a lot of content coming up. Until next time, and there will be that next time. 44 Dive. That's a wrap. BC in the unit saying, check you. Salute!